So my name is Jess MacArthur. I am currently based in Zurich, working for Save the Children Switzerland. Seconded to Save the Children US on a project called PROWASH and Scale, which supports resilience and food security projects in sub-Saharan Africa. And I've just finished my PhD with the Institute for Sustainable Futures at the University of Technology, Sydney.
Yes. So what is your role at the moment at the PROWASH scale?
Yeah, so I support, it's like a technical support unit for these resilience and food security projects that have a little bit of WASH in them, but we know that WASH is really important for resilience and also for food security, and so I help the WASH advisors in these projects, there are 23 to 24 depending on the time, help them do their jobs better. So anything that they need help with capacity development, they need an ear to speak, someone to speak to, someone to brainstorm with, that's my role.
Okay, fantastic.
So I actually grew up a bit in Indonesia. My dad worked in the oil and gas industry, and I knew from an early age, we grew up on the island of Borneo. I grew up on the island of Borneo, and we arrived in a drought, and it was really hazy and smoky and lots of forest fires. This was in the late 90s, and I watched a whole bunch of women queuing up outside of our compound with buckets for water, and I thought that it was really devastating, even as a child, to watch the disparities between how I had access to water and how these women were lining up outside of my compound, and I felt that that was wrong. And so I knew I always wanted to work overseas, but the direction that I knew was going through the oil and gas industry. So I actually did a chemical engineering degree in Canada and realized quite quickly that that wasn't for me, but that I did still want to be overseas. So ended up in a few different jobs, realizing that I needed to get a bit more technical expertise in the WASH sector, which led me to the water management program at Oxford. I felt very out of place because I didn't know anything about water when I started, but slowly began to build my confidence in that sector, and then ended up in Bangladesh because my parents were living there. So my story is really connected to my parents' story as well, and because I couldn't get a job. So for those who are struggling to get a job, I also have been there, but ended up in Bangladesh, and because I was willing to work and live in Bangladesh and willing to cut my teeth in a wonderful complex space, I ended up getting a job with IDE and was their WASH kind of WASH director in Bangladesh I was there almost 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then decided I wanted to do a little bit more on gender and WASH, and looked for PhD opportunities from there. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I just have to ask,
Yeah.
what was your PhD about?
My PhD, yeah. So I did gender and WASH. It was during COVID, so plans changed slightly, but we worked with a team in Cambodia to try to understand how gender training influenced project staff of a large WASH program there. So what were the changes that men and women experienced in working in a gender-focused project, primarily as engineers and people that didn't have a background in gender.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of it is we get kind of, in a good way, placed in situations we might not have a lot of confidence, or we feel like, oh, I don't really think I should be in this room, and I think you're in the room because you're supposed to be there, and that's also okay. Use that as a chance to learn and to grow. Learn French if you haven't. I feel like that's what I tell everybody. If you can, try to learn French, because it's a really useful skill if you want to work in sub-Saharan Africa. And also, when the opportunities come around to work cross-sectorally, to sort of work in resilience and food security, or to work in climate adaptation, or to work in women's empowerment and kind of economic development, take those opportunities as well, because there's always cross-linkages to what happens in the WASH space.
Yes. Okay.